the golden boy of the Western Bulldogs.
Can Bailey Smith score? Towards goal! Bailey Smith!
Battling demons both on and off the field.
That period after losing the grand final, being away from family for a while, plus my own sort of mental health issues that I've spoken publicly about, culminated in some poor decision making.
Snapped in the off-season, snorting drugs and holding a bag of white powder, Bailey Smith is likely to face a 2-game suspension, on top of the 2 he's already serving for headbutting.
It's going to hurt his brand. He's suffered a lot of public humiliation, and it's something he's going to have to live with, but I think it's not insurmountable.
Under the AFL's rules, a player caught doing drugs for the first time cops a $5,000 fine and has to undergo counselling. Usually, they're also guaranteed anonymity, but the publicly released photos have put paid to that for Smith.
Coming out of such a pressurised environment when we had sort of had a mini hub for the final series and not knowing how to probably deal with the pressure afterwards. It's no excuse but it certainly does provide context to why I make such a stupid decision like I did.
These days, most players fall foul of these type of situations because they are caught on social media. So once it's out in the Instagram sphere or the Twitter sphere, that's it. There's no going back.
Now the 21-year-old is the subject of a new firestorm, with his coach slamming the AFL's 3 strikes illicit drugs policy.
None of us really feel it works. I'm a big believer that it should disappear. There's a lot of support for illicit drug use being recognised as more of a health issue than anything else.
But others want the policy toughened up. Hawthorn President Jeff Kennett calling for 0 tolerance and a 2-year ban without pay for players caught taking drugs.
I think that's just way too harsh. And if you banned all players for maybe dabbling in drugs, you might have a lot of players not playing AFL football for 2 years.
So is Bailey Smith's public shaming punishment enough, or will a tougher deterrent stamp out illicit drugs in the AFL once and for all?
This is a very contested issue within the AFL and within all the power brokers within the AFL, all the clubs, the players themselves too. I know that there are so many advocates to have this 3 strikes policy maybe tightened somewhat, but in terms of how you could necessarily, I don't think you could scrap it, and I don't think that you can do what Jeff Kennett is suggesting and have these really, really long bans for the players. Of course, there should be some penalties, and I think that does need to have some publicity to it so that you can hold clubs to account and hold the players to account. And someone like...
Is the aim of it to get rid of any drugs in the game, or is it about the message to the community that the game itself is making? I
think it's more the latter. In my mind, it's more the latter.
As soon as they started testing out of season, I thought they were making a rod for their back. I mean, you have people knocking on doors in Las Vegas to do hair samples on AFL players. It's just, I'm not sure what they're really trying to achieve. I think they should be trying to educate and support players, because they're young. You forget how young they are when you see them interview. You see them on the field, they look like Adonises, and then you see him interviewed and he's 21.
But this is an AFL created thing as well, in particular with Bailey Smith, because they have put him on that pedestal.
Yeah, but he's a lovely boyo.
He is.
Do you know what I mean? Like, people who watch the game know who he is in his heart and his soul, but they're also boys with a lot of money, a lot of public adoration, a long off-season, disposable income, and they don't have to work. What do you think is going to happen with a 21-year-old guy that doesn't have to work, that's got months of partying? Like, there's something at the very heart of it that is unsolvable.
I don't think there is a right answer, but it's something they need to figure out, and they need to get those frameworks in place to help support the players.
Yep.